Like, I had struggled with food and bulimia since I was like 14. So at the time, it was like more than 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was on and off. Like I had I had long periods where everything seemed fine. I lived my life. And other times where it kind of got really heavy and really kind of just took complete, or felt like it took complete control of my life. I went into almost isolation, and just to be able to, manage these horrible urges that would amount in my head, and then it would pass and life would move on. And so that's kind of how it went for those, like 23 plus years. And I remember, like, I went through therapy, I tried all sorts of stuff. And I remember one of the therapists telling me, and this was when I was like 19, maybe. I remember they said, this is not really something you recover from, but you'll, maybe you're going to, you can learn to somehow live with it, but, don't expect to, to recover.
Yeah.
And I remember back then thinking, like, who are you to say that? And it just didn't feel right. Like, I remember saying, but I wasn't born this way. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, he didn't mean any harm. It was just, his understanding. But looking back now and kind of have seen what I've seen, I see why it felt so wrong in me, because it's not our true nature, to having to deal with, with difficult feelings by eating massive amount of food and then going purging.
Yeah.
So so that was kind of my life for a long time. I still on the side, completed my master's, and I had several great jobs. I got married. I have 3 children. So kind of life moved on the side of all of this. But it wasn't until, I guess, I tried different techniques, and it would work kind of on and off, and I thought I had found the thing, but it kind of was always kind of lingering. Like I knew, okay, if I'm gonna, if I'm gonna go through a troubled period of time, this is kind of my preferred coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And this was really just because I was afraid of feeling, that bad. And I'd always been told, I remember, by my mom, well, you are a very sensitive person. You feel things very strongly.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that kind of made me a bit special that way, that was probably just me, at least to the extent. It felt kind of very, very personal.
Yeah.
And then I read the book first, Brain Over Binge, which I know was also, a turning point, I think, for you.
Yeah.
I kind of introduced this kind of new concept. There was like, that maybe it wasn't my fault. Maybe I wasn't broken. Maybe there was a neurological part of this, just, something I had kind of trained my brain to do, and maybe I could be untrained. And luckily there was this extra kind of part from you that talked to what was beyond that. And that's how I kind of found out about the school, and I enrolled. And I wasn't able at the time to be live on the calls because I lived in a very different time zone. But just going through the course material and watching the calls whenever I could, and you were very helpful when I would write you and you would address my questions, just kind of started lifting things. I didn't do anything differently, but very slowly I started to see things differently. And for me, it took a long time. Like I'll say it, or rather, I would see something, and then I would question it, because I just, I really struggled going beyond the intellect. But something in it just kind of kept me in the conversation. Because I kind of felt like you had handed me a master key, I just didn't quite know how to work it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I knew it would kind of unlock everything, and it just slowly has, and it continues to. Like it feels like I have, you know, this kind of huge puzzle of my life or my experience, everyone's experience, and it's like it's a self-moving puzzle. It's kind of like it's just finding its own little place, kind of day by day, insight by insight.
Yeah.
Um,
So does it feel like before were you focused on your behavior more, or like how was that shift? Because I love what you're saying about, you know, it didn't happen overnight. Like kind of coming being in this conversation was little by little of things falling away and chipping away. Yeah. So how was that compared to like how you would try it in the past to change your habit?
yeah. It was, I would say it was two things. I think what I had been very focused on in the past was the first many years, it was very much about something must have happened. Like I must have some kind of traumatic experience I don't remember, which was
Yeah.
very confusing to me because I have really, like I had a wonderful childhood. So it just didn't make sense to look there, but that was kind of the option I was presented. So there was kind of the whole emotional thing about trying to dig deep and write down everything and all of that. And then definitely also as I maybe in my 20s, you know, I started looking, oh, well, maybe I need techniques. So I looked very much at the behavior and tried to kind of manage my surroundings. You know, oh, if only, you know, if I can keep this predictable or I have this certain routine, I can stay clear. I don't get urges. I'm fine.
Right.
But life happens, right? Like it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And the whole emotion, like the whole thing about going through my childhood and past experiences didn't exactly provide relief either. So yeah, that was where it really kind of changed, or what was different about you. And I think why I kept coming back, even when I sometimes shook my head, I was like, my God, it's not going fast enough. You know, I wanted instant relief.
Yeah.
I kept coming back, and it just is it's like a drizzle for me. At least I know for some people it just kind of, it's like a flood coming through. For me,
Yeah.
it was like a drizzle.
Yeah.
And but the beautiful thing is it's still drizzling, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so common that again, like you said, for some people see huge things and big things shift all at once. For others, it's much slower. For others, it's a combination. But what I love about this so much is it never ends. It
Mm-hmm.
never ends. It's not like, oh, when my thing goes away, when my problem goes away, then I'm done. Like that's just really when it gets good.
Yeah.
And so much else in life starts to open up as we just get curious about all this. So
Well, that's exactly the thing. Thank you for mentioning that, because like I came to your school with that problem or issue or whatever you want to call it, and that has like dramatically changed. I just don't have that issue anymore, and and everything else has changed too.
yeah.
You know, like everything has changed, like my whole, because it's my experience, like it's my whole experience
Yeah.
of life that's changed. So it's my relationship, it's everything. Like it's everything, because you see everything differently.
Yeah.
And by starting to understand what in the world is going on and not putting meaning to something that has no meaning,
Yeah.
you know, it really is life changing.